then pulls the bandits into it, with Rick and Michonne being unable to kill Jadis due to her dossier that threatens Alexandra's safety. Jadis reveals that Rick is slated to receive the Echion briefing and move up in the CRM and reach a deal with Rick, where Rick will return to the CRM while Michonne can go home. But they double cross each other, and Jadis is fatally bitten by a walker in the melee. Jadis explains that after losing her people, she dedicated herself to a cause that seemed like it would last. Deciding to die as Anne rather than as Jadis, she tells them where to find the dossier at Cassandra's base in and gives Rick a wedding ring that Gabriel found for him. At her request, Rick shoots Anne. Rick gives Michonne the wedding ring and they formally exchange vows. He and Michonne then decide to take Jada's helicopter and return to the CRM to find the dossier and stop them once and for all. Realizing that Anne is dead after she fails to show up for their yearly meeting, a heartbroken Gabriel crafts a makeshift grave marking for her. So that's the synopsis of episode 5. We're going to get into our likes, our dislikes, and our grades for this episode. So what up, Tony Robinson? What's up? Good. How you doing, brother? So let's get into our likes. Jared, what did you like about this episode?
Likes, I mean, just continuously seeing Rick and Michonne together after so long. I mean, but that's an obvious positive. Doesn't even really need to be said. The acting is still strong, which, I mean, given who we're dealing with, that's to be expected. A couple other things I liked, just sort of the back and forth between Jadis and Rick and Michonne when they were in that abandoned place with all of the blankets hanging up. It was kind of like a little bit of a maze type thing where it was like a cat and mouse type thing, which I really enjoyed. General thoughts, I did like this episode, but now that I've seen the finale and I've seen all 6, not going to spoil 6, but now that I've seen all 6, I think this is my weakest episode of the 6.
Okay, interesting. What about you, Loki?
Jadis. She was my favorite part of this episode. And
Mm-hmm.
just going into explaining why she was doing what she was doing, because I think there was some of other things, and we getting a better understanding of her and Father Gabriel's relationship, because I almost forgot that they had that relationship before she went off with Rick and stuff. I was like, oh shit, they did have a relationship or whatever. Another thing I really enjoy is the fact that The Walking Dead is still able to keep zombies effective. That's one of the things I was trying to figure out when they did the spinoffs or announcement, was like, how are y'all gonna keep making the zombie scary or whatever? And it's in these situations where they have these little shootouts or whatever, and the zombies are still very much effective. I'm still trying to figure out how these niggas keep sneaking up on people, but I guess without hearing anything. But it's definitely the exchanges between Michonne and Jadis for me, because she wants her dead. Like, she wants to kill her, not get her out of here. Like, it's over. I don't want to talk about anything. I just want her dead. And Rick, wants to keep her alive for the plan or whatever, to get the shit out of her room or whatever.
I had to say this because last week we talked about it where you were like, oh, we saw the trailer and Michonne says we can't go back. And I said, I think that's a trick. And I was absolutely right. I knew that their plan was to get back, right? So when I seen that, I was like, I don't know if that's going to be real, if they're going to do that, right? And we'll get into what happens in episode 6 on Thursday. But at the same time, I'm like you. I really like the dialogue between Jadis and Gabriel. I like that. First off, I was hoping it was Gabriel that would have found them. I thought it was because when you see the trailer in the beginning, you see someone with a hood on, but they don't show who it is. I was like, okay, so maybe that's Gabriel, right? I thought that was Gabriel, and he was gonna meet up with them, at least have an interaction with them, but they didn't go that route. They showed that it was actually Jadis who realized that they weren't dead and was following them, basically. So I like that. Um, I knew she was gonna die though. I knew she was gonna die. I was like, okay, they're probably going to kill Jadis off. Thought it may have been in the last episode, but I think she had a good death. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like you said,
I-
the zombies sneaking up because she was standing there, and all of a sudden the zombies just attacked her, and it's like, wait a minute, no one heard these zombies coming? You know what I mean? Like, what are they? Silent zombies? They walk silently,
I
but
like another thing too. Was this the episode? This was with the stone zombies, right? Where they just came across
yeah,
stone.
Mhm.
Yeah,
yeah,
I like that. Something a little
yeah.
different with the zombies.
Well, they have to try a little something different to make it a little harder. But I loved, you know, they met up with that crew. They tried to save them, help them out, and then those fuckers tried to rob them. You know what I mean? And I was like,
But that's
oh,
what
come
Jadis was
on.
talking about. It's the effectiveness of both of them together. It's like, nah, y'all ain't gonna be able to do shit with them.
Hmm. And they were like, they didn't even like seem worried or anything. It was just like, really? You know what I mean? And then they disarmed them, take their guns. But when Michonne took back the food, I was like, you fucking right. That is right. Take back the food. Don't give them
All
no
them
food.
noodles.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you guys trying to? We offered you food, helped you with the zombies, and now you want to rob us and take everything? Oh,
Now I would
hell
have
no.
kept
You
the
got
gun and the bullets now. So I don't know why they
me
did
too.
that. Like I would have kept that
Yeah.
gun.
Well, I,
I
I think maybe. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead,
Oh, I
Jay.
was just gonna
Go ahead.
say, since you bring that up, I enjoyed that part because it was like sort of a little bit of comedy mixed in because Rick's like, we can walk this back if you want. And they're like, and then
Hmm.
they pull a gun on him, and then they disarm everyone, and then the guy's on the ground begging for his life. He's like, "No, we can walk it back. We can walk it back."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Like,
later on in the episode, Michonne's like, "They were rude. They don't get noodles."
hmm facts.
So I
And
mean,
yeah,
just a little comedy sprinkled in here and there.
and you're absolutely right. They don't get no fucking noodles. Like, what are we doing here? We rescued you guys, and then you tried to like kill us? Nah, sir. I would have did the exact same thing. But the car chase scene with Jadis, oh man, that was fire too. You know what I mean? Just the way that they tried to double cross her. The fact that she pulled up on them in bed, tied them up, and they still got away. That goes to show you that Michonne and Rick together are unstoppable. You
Yo,
know what I
she
mean?
did throw me off a little bit when I was like, okay, Jadis is just talking. She ain't gonna really try to kill. No, she started shooting. I was like, oh, she's trying to kill.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
really trying to kill him.
I thought they were gonna change her though. I thought they were gonna change her at first, but then when you seen that she was shooting and trying to kill them, I'm like, okay. And then they did the okey doke, right? Where it's like, okay, let's do this. We're gonna put down our weapons. I'm gonna go with you. Michonne's gonna bounce. And I was like, okay, it's a trap. Because I knew Jadis wasn't gonna do that either. You know what I mean? And she tried to pull the gun on Rick to kill him, and Michonne came around the corner with that gun, and I was like, yeah, yeah, hands down. That's
Did y'all
exactly
like
what.
the explanation for why she was doing what she was doing? When she went into detail, like making the understanding of this is why I'm dedicated to the CRM.
I did. What about you, Jared?
Um, I've never liked the Jadis character. Um, so I'm not gonna say I disliked it, but I'm just glad she's gone and we don't have to deal with her anymore.
What you didn't
I,
like about it? Because I might actually understand.
I mean, how many different times? Well, how many different times are we going to see her be a different person? Like she was the trash woman, then she was Anne, now she's Jadis. Like
And she did the switch over with Negan, though. Yeah.
it almost is like she has like multiple personality disorder. Like I just didn't care for her character at all. So I did like the little flashbacks when she was dying where it showed her being an artist and that stuff. Like I enjoyed that part of it, but as her character as a whole, I wasn't a huge fan. But it wasn't a bad episode. It just wasn't my favorite one.
I personally, I liked it because I understood she was tired of losing people, right? She had her own crew, she lost them. Then she went to Alexandria. She never really fit in because they never really liked her. It was only Gabriel that actually, showed her some love. And that's the reason why she had that respect for Gabriel and didn't kill him when she had the chance to, right? So I
But then,
enjoyed that.
she kept explaining to Gabriel, like, every time they would make those visits or come back each year, she had done something like a lot worse every time she had
Mhm.
come back.
Yeah. Yeah, and you could see she was getting more and more involved in the CRM every time she came back, right? And the final time she came back was when she tried to kill him. You know what I mean? And the fact that Gabriel knew that when she didn't come, it's because she was dead and made that grave. I was like, yeah, that was tight. You know what I mean? I like that.
I'm
So
glad he's still alive.
yeah, me too. Me too. But that would make sense because I was like, yeah, I was trying to figure out the timelines. And I was like, yeah, well, he didn't die in the final Walking Dead, so he probably would still be alive, and I'm good with that. Um,
But the
I
timeline
like
we're not seeing.
pretty much, pretty much. Because sometimes if you're not paying attention, it's hard to put all these timelines together. You know what I mean? Like they've done so much. Like if you follow Fear the Walking Dead and then you follow, World Beyond and all of the other ones, to catch the timelines, you have to really study this stuff. I don't study it like that to know. So I like when I get these little hints as to where it is in the timeline. You know what I mean? Because man, it could be confusing at some points, right? That's why it was good that when they started it, they gave you that 5 years after the bridge, and then they said 1 year after the bridge, and then present day to kind of give you at least a tighter view of the timeline that's going on, you know? So I really enjoyed that. Um, anything else you guys liked?
I've got one or two other likes.
Go ahead.
Just the unexpected cameo of Gabriel in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting to see any original Walking Dead people in this episode other than the ones we've already seen. So that was good. And then when they're doing the car chase and Rick is still sort of in that little panicky mode where he's like, we can't kill her, as they're like driving, trying to run her down off the road or whatever. And Michonne's like, yes, we can. Like
Mm-hmm.
Michonne doesn't give any shits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so
And And I like that too, right? Because Michonne was still at this point like, Rick, this is what we got to do. Like she's still pretty much directing him to what we got to do. Like we
But
can't
see,
kill
that's what I
her.
was saying. Michonne
Hmm.
kind of has not changed. This is the same Michonne that was telling
Yeah,
Atrina about the governor. Like, nah, I'm going to kill him. Like, I'm not going to. I'm going to get him.
yeah. And I like that too because you get those flashbacks right in this series. Like you've got the flashbacks as to when she had
Oh
to
yeah,
kill the kids, right? Or when she has to explain to Rick, like, listen, no, we have to do this. And you can see that she's been consistent with that. She did it with the governor, she did it with Negan, and now she's doing it with the CRM, right? It's always been that no, we gotta fight. We're not running, we gotta fight. And she's always been that strong little, telling Rick this is what we got to do when Rick was having his weak moments. Because there were always when Rick was having his weak moments. I don't think he really had that much of a weak moment with the governor, but with Negan and the CRM, oh, he definitely had weak moments. And Michonne was there to like
yeah.
bring him back. You know what I mean?
But he had
Like,
his reasons. He definitely had his reasons.
which I
and
understand his reasons. Go ahead, Jared.
I was just gonna say, recently I rewatched season 3 of The Walking Dead, which is the prison season where they do fight the governor, and it's
Hmm.
just so interesting to see how much these two characters love each other and rely on each other. Where when Michonne first entered the show, he didn't even want her in the prison. They were going to get
Hmm.
rid of her, and
Hmm.
to just to see how their connection has grown, it's just interesting to me.
I agree. And
Fact.
not just to mention the connection that they're growing, right? Like when they show the clips of them Barry and Carl together, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I remember when Carl got bit and it's just the two of them sitting by Carl, and you know what I mean? So it just goes to show like when you go back and you watch these episodes, you can see their love and everything growing throughout the series. And I really appreciate that.
Now, this is good character development because the relationship that she builds with Carl, especially after they got to get out of the prison and they just
Hmm.
him and Rick, yeah, that's some good character development. And then they come
Absolutely.
across damn, what's his name? Morgan. When he crazy.
Hmm. Hmm. Right, and then Morgan, they had to do because Morgan went on that, and I didn't like that little stretch he had where it was like, "I'm not killing anybody" and stuff like that. And I was like, nah, I don't like that. When Morgan became Morgan again, that's when I was like, okay, now this is Morgan. You know what I mean? But that's Buddha stretch he was doing. I wasn't feeling that at all. I wasn't feeling that at all.
Clear, clear.
But I can understand, like, if you go, you like a lot of these characters, you could see their trauma. They've went through a lot of trauma, they've got past it, and you could still see later on that they still have remnants of that trauma. Like in Fear the Walking Dead, there's an episode where Morgan has to go back to find his son to bury him. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, listen, I gotta end this, I gotta go and find my son. And then he goes and finds his son. So they're still years later dealing with drama, and that's pretty much what happened in this series with Rick and his drama. He was still dealing with Carl's death, and the fact that it's been so long, he don't even remember what Carl looked like if it wasn't for the picture that Michonne brought him. So again, when it comes to The Walking Dead and their series, they have a lot of great character development, and I think this episode shows a lot of it. I know you said it wasn't one of your favorites. One, I don't think for me it was the weakest one, to be honest with you. But there were some things in it that I really liked. You know what I mean? I really liked um how Jadis tried to turn those guys to help her out. And then Rick and Michonne had to kill them. Then they turned into zombies, and the ones that she tried to get to help kill Rick are the ones that killed her. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I kind of like that. That's the okey doke that I talk about.
Like I said, the effectiveness of the zombies once again just still being effective.
hmm And I mean, they usually are, but I think there's a lot of episodes or series where like zombies take a back seat. You know what I mean? Sometimes you forget like this is a zombie apocalypse show, right? Because they don't show any zombies. But I understand. I mean, it gets boring to be killing zombies every episode, and that's all they're doing is zombies. So they gotta actually, add character development and human antagonists to make everything better. What about dislikes? Did you guys dislike anything about this episode? I'm gonna start with you, Loki.
Uh, it's definitely a dislike. I'm trying to think. It was something I didn't like. I think it was
Think
the
about it. Yeah, go ahead.
coming across the people. It was something about the people,
hmm
man. You have to come back to me.
I got you, Jared. Anything you didn't dislike?
My biggest dislike is those people. Um, so we're like 10, 11, 12 years into the apocalypse, and there's still people wandering around that have no idea what the hell they're doing and can't
That's
survive.
exactly what it is.
I
hmm
feel like
hmm
I feel like at this point in time, if you're still alive, that's because you're a badass and you can fight for yourself.
And
And
survive.
they seemed like they were day one. Like they didn't. It just I didn't like that at all because there shouldn't be anyone alive that is still that weak.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right. I get that. hmm
and then my other main dislike is that I feel like Jadis found them too easily. Um, I just don't know how she just magically stumbled across them in a cabin. I would have liked a better explanation for that. And then my only other dislike, because I really did like the episode, but there's just certain nitpicks that I just can't ignore. The other one
hmm
is unless they like did not tie themselves tightly to that bed, how in the hell did they get out of those zip ties that easily? Because it seemed like they just are they Superman? They just broke out of them. Um, but I mean, I'm not going to root against them. I'm glad that I mean, I like the progression of the story. I just think that there's certain inconsistencies that I just don't necessarily agree with.
I agree with you. I do think that Jadis did find them too early. Now, of course, after episodes, I go and I watch some YouTube channels, and if I see something pop up, well, someone in one of the channels said that maybe Jadis found them before they got into the car and was following them. That's what they said. Now, I didn't see any hints of that, right? They didn't show any hints of that. So
Either.
I always feel like she was keeping some type of eye on Rick, whether it was not an eye or some. She was always making sure she kept some type of close net on Rick, and that's how I feel like she found him. She never really let
right.
him out of her sight.
That's well, I agree with that, but it's like the helicopter got blown up, right? But they're saying that I guess she was there when they blew up the helicopter, and when it left, she didn't leave, right? Because she was like, I'm not 100% sure Rick and Michonne are dead, which
Yep.
is right. So if she stayed there and followed them, then I can understand how she found them so early. The only problem is they didn't give us any hints of that. They should have gave us a hint of that. To, maybe at the end of the episode when they're driving off, you see her standing there or something like that, right? They could have gave us something like that to okay, Jadis is following them. But I also think that they didn't do it because they wanted it to be a surprise for the next episode, right? So they didn't want to give that little tidbit away to make it seem like, especially when you're watching the trailer and you have Michonne saying, "We can't go back," right? So I think they were trying to fool us into thinking
You know what?
something else happened.
Jared is
Yeah.
absolutely right, and I need to double down on that as far as those characters because it's the fact that when they get attacked by zombies, they run after her like they don't know that she is already dead, and once you get bit, that's it. Or once like that didn't
Hmm.
make no sense for them to start trying to pull the
Hmm.
zombies off of her. That is
Hmm.
facts. That didn't make no sense
Hmm.
with those characters. But
Hmm.
even though characters Michonne came across, you can see that they were capable of surviving. You could see how they was helping each other. They was teamwork, and they had certain things, gadgets or whatever that they was using.
Hmm.
The whole explosion thing that they had, the gun or whatever. Another thing is the villain monologues. Jadis. It's like if you were gonna kill him, kill him. Like go and get them
Yeah,
out of here.
yeah,
That's supposed
yeah,
to be your
yeah,
plan. You don't got to do no
yeah, yeah.
monologue. You don't talk to Rick
Hmm.
about 5 times already.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
get
yeah,
it. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. You see, that's what I say, and I think that's one of my pet peeves in a lot of TV shows and movies, right? Where you have the good guy dead to rights. Like they do it with James Bond all the time. You have James Bond dead to rights, gun to his head, but you
Bro,
gotta
John
stand there
Wick.
and talk yeah, you gotta stand there and talk and give him your fucking well, this is what we're gonna do, but you're gonna die now, so it's not like you're gonna be able to do anything. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I would have walked into the room, popped a bullet in his head, and that was it. So if
Or at
Jadis
least shot them
really
both in the leg while they were
right,
asleep. She had.
yeah, exactly. If she really wanted to kill them, she didn't have to wait until they woke up, or she didn't have to wake them up and then tie. You know what I mean? She snuck in there while they were sleeping. She could have just put two in their head, pop, pop. But again, then we got no show, and the last
Yeah,
episode.
there's no show at that point. Um, another big dislike that I had, and this is not necessary. This has nothing to do with Rick or Michonne. I enjoyed seeing Father Gabriel. Like I like seeing him. The problem I had with it is in the timeline of when he was meeting with her, like prior to Rosita's death in the finale of the actual show, they were raising a kid together. They were a thing. And so
Hmm.
to me, it's like he's having these secret little romantic meetings with Anne while he's with her. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all.
So I had that same issue, but when I watched the video, they said that it's after Rosita died, right? So all of this meeting Jadis was after Rosita died. So I'm like, okay, if that's the case, that makes sense, right? Because they're like, oh, he's cheating on Rosita, but it's like, no, she died, and then so this is all after the Walking Dead ended when she died. So he
I
didn't really
think
cheat on
I think that's another issue that I have not with this show in general, but all of the universe is that the timeline is not clear.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I was saying. You have to
Yeah,
like actually study it or go and watch some YouTube videos like I did to understand where everything is happening because they don't make it 100% clear this is happening after what happened in The Walking Dead or this, right? Because all that Gabriel stuff, like you said, if I didn't, I would have thought the same thing as you if I didn't watch the video. I'm like, wait, when does this take place? You know what I mean? So they need to explain it more when certain things happen to understand, okay, this happened after Rosita died, or this happened before, or whatever. You know what I mean? I think they need to do that. So,
And there were some other likable things that I didn't mention that just now came to my mind, like when they're in that little I don't know if it's like a truck stop or what it is, but they're like looting, and they're looking at the different necklaces with people's names on them, and he's like, "Oh, you never found one with Michonne," and he like picks up one with Michelle, and he breaks off the rest of the name and
Mm-hmm.
has the M necklace, and then the proposal at the end. So there's a lot to like about the episode. I just had a few little nitpicks about it.
when when they were looking at the name tags and she's like she never finds one with Michonne, I was like, I feel your pain. I feel your pain because I have never ever seen an Onzo. You know what I mean? Like ever, no matter what nameplate you see, I've never seen my name. So I was like, yeah, Michonne, I feel you. I feel your pain. I completely understand that. You know what I mean? To go that you'll never see your name on one of these things, but that
But
just
if
means
you
it's original.
if you want to go by your old YouTube name, I bet you could find one that says Jason on it.
Yeah, easy.
I remember
Easy.
because when you started going by Onzo, I was like, he said his name's Jason. I was like, who the hell is it? It's the same dude, but he's got a different name.
So, low key, probably don't know, and I know most of you guys do. But when I first because when I signed up to YouTube, YouTube was just to watch videos or whatever, right? So I just put a fake name or whatever. Then I started watching streams. So anytime I was posting, it would be Jason. Then when I met Danny, I was going by Jason, Jason, Jason. And then when I got on Rob's show, I was still going by Jason, Jason. And then one day in the back room, I was like, yo, my real name is so and so. And he was like, oh, I'm going to call you from your real name from now on. And that's what he started calling me from that. And then I was like, you know what? My name is original, you know, so I might as well use it and be proud because that's the name my parents gave me. So I
Was
decided to
it
start using my real
was it
name.
Jason Miller? Was that the last name
It
you went
was
with?
it was Jason Miller. Yeah,
I'm glad I
it
know
was
that now,
a
Jason Miller.
real white boy name I was using. Boy, Jason Miller. How you doing? You know what I mean? Yeah, that's it. I'm just surprised no one really said you ain't no fucking Jason Miller. You know what I mean? Like you ain't no Jason Miller. Stop that. But yeah,
Jason
that's the
Miller
name
from Canada.
originally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, I guess because I'm from Canada, it could be a possibility. You know, it could be. So who knows? But yeah, so
Drake's
that's
name is
that story.
Aubrey, so yeah.
His real name's Aubrey.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. So
Didn't know
yeah,
that one.
neither did I, to be honest with you. But what else did I like in this episode? Or did I didn't like? I think I would say probably the fact that she found them so quickly. That too. Um, them idiot fucking people that they tried to save and then ended up trying to, rob them at the end. I'm like, those guys are fools, right? And it's like you said, they look like they were day ones. Like it's the first time they've ever been in the zombie apocalypse, and they haven't been around for how many years, right? By this time, you're either in a group or you're pretty much dead. You know what I mean? And there were just a couple of people out there. Maybe they got separated from the group, or they were the weak ones of the group. Who knows? But I
But they
agree
still
with
act
you.
like they didn't know the rules or like they didn't understand
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Like they've never seen no one else until now. You know what I mean? It just kind of when you think of the Walking Dead history and stuff, it's like, nah, you probably would have ran into people. You would have had issues with somebody. This wouldn't have been the first time. So I agree
Yeah,
with
and
you on that one.
like towards the end of the episode when she has recruited them to her side or whatever, she's like, "Oh, it's 4-on-2. You're outnumbered." It's like it might be 4-on-2, but 3 of those people out of that 4 don't matter. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially when Rick fucking and Michonne disarmed them in the beginning, like so easily. You know what I
He
mean? They
did it
had a gun
twice.
on. Yeah, like so easy they disarmed these people. So it's like they were nothing. They were no help. You knew they were just there because Jadis was gonna die. You know what I mean? But I did enjoy her death scene. I did enjoy the little speech at the end. You know what I mean? Um, and it seems like once everybody dies, they confess and they become like, oh no, this is the situation. You know what I mean? And I was like, sometimes they'll be like, fuck you, because that's what I would have been like. I'd have been like, no, I'm dying now because of you, motherfuckers. Fuck you. I ain't telling you shit. But I understand she didn't want anything to happen to Alexandra, really and truly. You know, that's probably why she made that deal with Rick. And making the deal with Rick was able to get her into the CRM, right? So she was just using it as leverage, I guess. But at the same time, she could have just let them go, right? She was the only one that knew they were alive. She could have just let them go and went back to the CRM and made everybody think that Rick was dead. So I guess it's her own destiny.
Yeah, and
Well,
oh, go ahead, Loki. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, I know we're not doing episode 6 yet, but just going into episode 6, I mean,
I
maybe
can't wait
it kind
for
of
that.
makes sense because it's like now listening to what he said, it's like they was going to eventually come across.
Hmm. Hmm. Because I think she knew that they wouldn't stop. You know what I mean? Because even when she she was dying, she said, "Please don't go after the CRM." And Rick was like, "No, we're not." And Michonne said, "Fuck that, we are."
Now that's
You
a
know what
villain
I mean?
monologue.
Facts. Michonne said, "No, that's not what we're doing. We're gonna stop them." And I like that. You know what I mean? Because she was trying to protect, I guess. But if she knew, if she knew what the CRM was doing, right? I guess she probably wanted, to be a part of a family or something like that. But deep down, she knew what they were doing was wrong. Like they were actually fucking like murdering people. You know what I mean? And if she was high up in the CRM like she was, then she had all of that information. So I don't know. It's just kind of weird the way she just flipped at the end when she was dying. I think that's what was weird for me. You know what I mean? It seems like every time, one of the bad guys are dying, they decide to do the right thing and tell the
Nah, I
information that
mean,
they need.
remember when she pointed the gun at Father Gabriel, she was kind of having that same redemption type of arc.
Hmm.
She was,
Hmm.
and that's like when she always kind of seemed like she don't felt that way. She just was wanting to go along with the CRM because that's like the only thing that she kind of had now after everything she done
But
been through.
right, right, I agree. But I also think that she was actually in love with Father Gabriel. That's why she didn't do it.
Yeah,
Like, let's say she was just meeting like Daryl or something like that. She probably would have pulled that trigger, right? But she was in love with Gabriel. So that's why she didn't actually pull that trigger. So she was conflicted there. Plus, I think Gabriel being in Alexandria, she didn't want anything to happen to him. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, I don't know. It was just weird. But I guess she had to tell them that when she was dying because the serum, they probably would have searched her room. They probably would have found it. And that would have been the next spot they went after. So kind of makes, kind of makes sense. It really does, you know. But, all right. So what are you guys going to grade this episode?
Who first?
I'm definitely gonna give it a minus. I really liked it. It might be my second best episode of the series. I like.
All right. A minus for low key. Jared?
I'm gonna give it a solid B plus. And that's not to say that I didn't like the episode, but the other ones, in my opinion, were A's. And this one was just, there were a few little things that made it not an A, but just a few other things to point out that stood out to me. When they go into that room for that final scene with Jadis and the other people are trying to ambush them or whatever, Rick goes in with his like sword machete thing, and Michonne goes in with a gun. And so I enjoyed the dynamic changing of like Michonne's the one that always uses the sword, Rick's the one that always uses the gun. I thought that was kind of a cool little switcheroo type of thing. And then the scene where Michonne is like changing her mind and like, no, do this. Rick can go with you. I'll go home. But you see in her eyes and in Rick's eyes, like they know that Michonne is trying to play her. Like there's no question that she's being serious or not. Like the audience, you can tell she's just trying to get out of the situation.
Absolutely.
So solid B plus for me.
All right.
I like what you said about the weapon exchange. That was a good point, and it just showing again how tactical they are now, especially with all the years they got, and even with Rick kind of getting more training with the CRM.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. It's like one thing I did like about these episodes is you can see how good they are together. You know what I mean? Like they come up with plans. They're methodical with it. You know what I mean? When we get to episode 6, you'll even see more of that stuff. The only thing I will say, and it's because I've seen episode 6, we're not going to do, but I think certain things were kind of rushed. You know what I mean? I remember when we were talking, we're like, oh, I don't see how they're going to finish this CRM arc in just one episode, and we'll get into it but next on Thursday, but they kind of did. So for me, it's kind of like I would have liked to have maybe 8 episodes, 2 more. I think you could have fleshed out the CRM a lot more, right?
We
You
did
had
not get
John in there.
enough of John. We
Exactly.
didn't get enough of him at all.
Exactly.
We will talk about that
on Thursday, 100%. But that's what I'm saying. So I think they could have fleshed out the CRM a lot more than they did. But like I said, guys, we will let you know why we say that in the next episode. But yeah, great show. I give it an A. Jared gave it a B. You said B plus, right? B minus?
B+. Yeah, B+.
B plus, and Loki gave it an A minus. Next week will be, I keep saying next week. This Thursday will be episode 6, which is the final episode. So we will be discussing that one. I think we are going to give it pretty much better grades than we did now. Make sure to check out Loki's channel in about an hour and 30 minutes or so, something like that. Going to be doing the review to Tyrant. Tyrant, that's the name of it?
Yes, sir. Like father, like son. Tubi Tuesday.
Tubi Tuesday movie. Listen, let me say this first. When I was like, okay, let me go check. And I went on Tubi, right? And I couldn't find the movie. I'm like, oh, so maybe it's not here in Canada. So I went to Tubi Originals and I seen it. And as I'm going through the Tubi Originals, I'm like, wait a minute. They have a documentary on Kobe Bryant? They have this?
Yep.
They have I had no idea Tubi had that stuff. So I'm definitely gonna watch some more things on Tubi. And I'm telling you guys,
There you
Tubi's about to blow up. I'm telling you, Tubi's about to blow up because I had no idea. And that documentary, the Kobe one, is like an original Tubi documentary. So I was surprised to see that. So guys, check out Tubi, check out Low Key. Jared, thank you for popping in. Always a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure to check us out tomorrow night for the OOC. And then Thursday night, we will do the final episode of this series. So, and hey, guys, man, if you ain't watching it, go and watch it because I really think it's some of the best Walking Dead we've got in a long time. You know, for me, there's Dead City, there's this one, Darrow's good too, but this and Dead City were the two best Walking Dead series by far, just in my opinion. So if you're not watching it, go check it out. Watch the first
I
couple
think we're
episodes.
gonna get a lot of connections down the road.
Well, I'm hoping
People coming back together, I would say.
We
Yes,
hope so. That's what I want.
that's exactly what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that we get like a series where, you know, Daryl comes back and Morgan comes back and we have this, you know, maybe they have to end up going up against the because the CRM was just part of that whole organization, right? Can't remember what they called the rest of it, but you see when we'll talk about that, what happens with them at the end. But maybe someone else goes bad and they have to come together to do that. I don't know. I just really want to see a series, maybe a final Walking Dead season 12 where everything comes together and we get a happy kumbaya ending. You know what I mean? But hopefully we get that. But thank you everybody for popping in. Much appreciated. Don't forget to check us out later on the Low Key channel. Don't forget to check out the OOC. And don't forget to check out our Thursday review of the final episode because that one's going to be a doozy. But with that being said, peace, love, and hair grease, guys. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Alright, real bad man, now we paper guns. We take dancing to a higher rank. We spend pound and we spend franc. Shut up a new dance and a Jamaica and Frank. Yes, on the river, on the bank. Kick out the shoes because you put them no camp. We stay in the river, on the bank. Shut up a new dance and a Jamaica and Frank. Yeah, down the flank, we are good down the flank.